Hello everyone, this is the second part of the masterclass. We continue knitting mittens. So this is how mine turned out. Now what do we do next? I've roughly tried to show the right and left mitten. I will be making the left mitten, this is for a man. The right is for a woman, and now, what do we need to do? We need the total number of stitches that we initially cast on. I have 34, divided by 2, it comes to 17. This is the semicircle of our hand. It turns out right here, this, 17, right. Then we divide 17 stitches by 2 in half. It doesn't divide evenly, does it? It turns out as 8 and 9. So, I take 9 stitches toward the thumb. Always more, because this part is a bit larger than the other. So we write 9 here, 8 here. Next I add 2 stitches toward the thumb. And take away 2 stitches from this side. As a result, we have here 9 plus 2 stitches, 11, 8 minus 2 stitches, 6. We do the same with the other mitten, the same thing. These are the calculations we made. We wrote it down for our convenience. Right. And how many increases will we be making? We will make as many increases as there are stitches for the big thumb. That is, from the total number we subtract this number of stitches, it comes to 9. So, I should have 9 increases for each mitten. I will make the increases every other row. The increases for the left and right mittens are done a little differently. Let's take a closer look at the mittens themselves. Here, for example, on the right women's mitten, here it is. We divide the total number of stitches by 2. That means I have here 17 stitches and here 17. Therefore, we divide one side again by 2. As a result, it comes out to 8 and 9. We take 8 stitches from here, counting, and 9 here. But since here we have the thumb right here, we add 2 stitches here, we shift from this part to here, add, and subtract from here, so instead of 8 stitches, it will be 6. And instead of 9, it will be 11. We place a marker, so here there are 11 stitches, a marker, and 6. Similarly, on this mitten, there are 11 stitches, a marker, and 6 stitches. That's it. After this we begin to make increases. So we start knitting the right women's mitten. And right away we will knit 2 rows with pink yarn. We will have such a stripe. So I take the yarn and begin to knit these first 11 stitches. With regular knit stitches but with the new yarn. Here is the 13th stitch. After this, we need to make an increase here. We will make the increase by picking up not the front yarn, but the one that goes behind. Like this. We made the increase. And then we knit the remaining 6 stitches in knit. Finished now. For the reverse side, we simply knit stitches without increases. This will be our first row. We finish this row now. We start on the men's mitten. On this side, I don't have increases, I have a marker there. So here we just knit in knit stitches. We also introduce the new yarn. 17 stitches will be knit in the front. We have finished knitting, now we have moved to the other side, where we need to make increases. Here, I also have 6 stitches on this side. On this side, I have 11. So, we need to make an increase right here. We knit 6 regular front stitches. That means we have reached the marker. And this is our left male mitten. How did we make the increase in the right one? We picked up that yarn. And this is how we made the increase. It's a little different here, since this is the left one. We form this kind of loop. So the yarn from the ball goes over like this. And we throw it onto our right needle. We pull it tight. As a result, the yarn comes closer to us. This is the way our yarn overlooks. This is the increase. After this, we start knitting the remaining 11 stitches. This is our first row. We have finished. Second row. We knit without increases directly according to the pattern. Also with a different yarn. Well, respectively, pink and blue. And these are our increases that we made. We will knit them through the back loop. I won't show it anymore. So now we will knit the second row straight. We will meet again in the third, where we will make increases again. We have finished, of course. We did not forget in the second row in our last. Make the first stitch a bit lower, so that our color transition is nice. As I mentioned at the beginning, after this, once we have knitted the second row, just straight, since we are making increases every other row in the next row, we will again make an increase, so we knit stitches up to our marker. 11 stitches are already in gray. 11. And we have an additional stitch. This is our increase in the first row. We do not knit it. And now we make another increase, you see. It turns out that in each row we will have 11 stitches, then an increase. Our right female stitch, yes, we make the increase in such a way that we can catch the yarn from behind like this. So that it comes out behind the fabric. That's it. We made the increase. After this, we knit through the front loop of our stitch, which we increased. In the previous row, yes, the marker can basically be removed. But let's leave it for now. Next we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6. Six stitches. We knit the reverse side without increases. Just straight, 17 stitches. We finished knitting, so the pink mitten. Now I have knitted straight on one side with grey yarn, and now on this side. We need to make an increase again. Here we will rely on the marker, meaning this number of stitches will constantly increase. Last time we had 6 stitches. Now we will have 7 stitches here. After that, an increase. Here is our increase, which was last time. We knit it through the front loop. We only knit through the back in the first row, and then through the front. We have reached the marker, and there are 7 stitches here. We move the marker, and now we need to make an increase. We make the increase since this is our left mitten, like this, so that the yarn from the ball is on top, and we put it on the needle. And the yarn comes towards us right here, in front of the work. After this, after the increase, we knit 11 stitches here. We have finished. Next, the next row. We knit straight without any increases. And do not forget that this is our second row. We will be inserting here into the lower stitch. We knitted 1 row straight, and now we will be making an increase again. As I said, in the women's right mitten, we initially knit a fixed number of stitches. In my case, that is 11. Here are 11. After this, we make an increase. This will be our constant practice. That is, we knitted 11 stitches, then an increase. We do not rely on the marker for the women's mitten. It can actually be removed entirely. For now, I'm not in a hurry, so we knit 11 stitches. There, so we need to make an increase here. That is, we make an increase up to our previous increase. In the women's right mitten, we make an increase. We grab that back loop so that the yarn comes out on the side that is away from us. After this, we knit as usual with knit stitches. Here, we already have 2 stitches. And after the marker, we have 6 stitches here. On the reverse side, we knit 17 stitches. So, I have knitted the side that has no increases on the men's mitten. And now here we need to make an increase. So let's remember that in the women's mitten, we knit a fixed number of stitches. That is 11 in my case. And then we make an increase. That is, our increase will be before the previous increase that we have already made. And here, our increase will be after the previous increase that we have already made. So we can remove the marker. How many stitches do I have here? 7. Initially, it was 6. Yes, 7. And here is the stitch that we added last time. We are going to knit it now as well. And after this, we will make the increase. That is, in the women's mitten, it is before the previous increase, in the men's after. In the left, we have the men's, yes, we are doing it this way. We add a stitch for the increase, so that the thread comes out on the front side towards us. And then we knit the remaining stitches. There are 11. So friends, this is how we will make increases and shape our thumb. It turns out, we need to keep track of the number of increases. How many increases we have made in each mitten. Because the total number of increases should be equal to 9, yes, we counted, and the increases are made every other row, we must not forget. So, the increases in the women's mitten go in such a way that we have a fixed number of stitches here. 11, yes. And here we add. From this side, we add the women's mitten. That is, from this side, we add the thumb, while the number of stitches for the thumb remains unchanged at 11. The same applies to the men's mitten. We add here. That is here, and at the end, the 11 stitches that will go for the thumb. They remain unchanged, so we make increases up to this point. Thus, for the women's mitten, after 11 stitches, an increase. Here we have an increase of 11 stitches from this side, and an increase should be made. That is, this is already after the increase we made in the previous row. Well, I will make the increases this way, knit the thumb, and then we will meet. We will figure out the rest later. I made all the increases, I ended up with 18 rows in height. Since I made the increases every other row, in total, I had 9 increases. And that is about 6 centimeters, maybe even a little more. After we make all our increases, the stitches allocated for the thumb will be transferred to a spare thread, and we will knit the thumb later. So, we will review this with the example of a women's mitten. Here is the right women's mitten. 9 stitches were allocated for the thumb. I added 2 stitches. In total, there are 11 stitches here. They were set aside for the thumb. But now we will transfer 9 stitches to the thread, and we will return those 2 stitches to the palm. Now I will show everything. So, we need to take 9 stitches to the spare thread now. I threaded some random yarn into a needle with a wide eye, with a blunt end. Now we need to transfer 9 stitches. So look, we will count 9 stitches. You can even see a little stripe here. It goes towards the thumb. Here's the right hand towards the thumb. There's this stripe. The first stitch out of 9 will be this one. which makes up that stripe, this stitch. Now we count 9 stitches to make it easier. We just need to knit the first 2 stitches as faces right now. And they will go to the palm. That is, the first 2 edge stitches will go to the palm. Now I will show. We knit the first 2 stitches as faces. And they will go to the palm, to the back side. After this, we transfer the next 9 stitches to the spare yarn. Here's the last stitch, 9 as I said, this stitch, which makes up that braid. We transferred 9 stitches to the thread. We can remove the needle, and now I will knit these 9 stitches together to ensure that the thread does not slip out and the stitches do not come undone. I will tie a bow here, tied, and here we knitted 2 stitches in the front. After which we start knitting these stitches. Here we should have the same number of stitches we initially had, that is 17, but not 17, rather minus 2 stitches, which we already knitted as 2 front stitches. That is, we should have 15 stitches. It turns out this side needs to return to the amount of stitches, which we originally had 17. We count these 2 stitches. And plus the others, the width of the palm should be as we initially calculated, 17 stitches in my case. And we continue knitting with knit stitches. We pull this first stitch as tightly as possible to avoid having a hole here. Near the finger, in the following rows, we also need to pull the stitches tighter in this spot. We finish this side. Now we knit the reverse side. There should be how many stitches? 17 plus 2 stitches that we knitted initially. Before transferring the stitches to the yarn, so we should have 17 plus 2, 19 stitches. On that side, and in total, the overall number of stitches should again be 34. As originally, we also do the same with the second mitten. But here, everything is the other way around. This little twist, which is unique, indicates the direction of the finger like this. So these stitches need to be transferred to an additional strand. 9 stitches. Yes, we will knit the 2 outer ones on this side as knit stitches and bring them to the palm. To that side, so this is the first of the 9 stitches. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and these 2 stitches we will knit later as knit stitches. And we will transfer these stitches to an additional strand and tie it up. How many stitches should remain on this side? It was 17, it should be. Yes, on one side, minus these 2 stitches. So there should be 15 stitches, and on the reverse side, 17. Plus 2 stitches, 19. Well, just like here, then we knit straight, without any increases or decreases until our reductions. The height of the decrease takes me about 2 centimeters. The length of the cuff is 17.5. And minus 2 centimeters, which will go for the decrease, means 15.5 centimeters. Should be knitted, so from this point, from the palm upwards 15.5 centimeters. And then we will start decreasing. So, after connecting the finger in the women's mitten, I knitted 11 rows with grey yarn. In the men's mitten, I knitted 14 rows, 3 rows more, so that the men's mitten would be a bit longer. After this, I knitted 2 rows, pink and blue yarn, respectively, then 3 rows with grey yarn. And 2 more rows again in pink and blue. After that, I knitted 5 rows using grey yarn. And now, I am starting to decrease. That is, I am approximately 2 centimeters short of the desired length of the cuff. We will decrease by 2 stitches on each side in every row. So, on this side, where the thumb is, I usually knit like this. I knit the edge stitch in knit stitch, as usual. Then, for the second and third stitches, these next 2 stitches, I decrease. That is, I knit 1 stitch from 2 stitches, I slip the first one. I knit the second, in knit stitch, and I pass the slipped stitch over the stitch onto the knitted stitch. That is our decrease. It will have a leftward slant, so that our decrease goes with a leftward slant. Next, we knit simply in knit stitches. Here, we haven't knitted 3 stitches. These 2 stitches we need to knit together with a slant, now to the right. We knit them through the front loop in knit stitch. And the last stitch we simply knit in knit stitch. That's on this side. We simply knit the first and last stitch in knit stitches, and on the reverse side we will immediately make decreases. Here we decrease the first 2 stitches with a leftward slant. We slip the first stitch. We knit the second in knit stitch, and pass the slipped stitch over the knitted stitch. So we made a decrease. Next, we knit simply in knit stitches. At the end of the row here, we leave 2 stitches and decrease them. That is to say, we make a decrease with a right tilt. We knit 2 stitches together through the front loop. With a right tilt it will result in a knit stitch. Everything is happening on that side. We decrease 2 stitches and also decrease 2 stitches on the other side. Thus, we will continually repeat this. In other words, on one side, I usually do it where I have my finger. I knit the edge stitches as knit stitches, and then I make decreases on the sides at the edges. And on the other side, I immediately make a decrease on the right and on the left. Here, it needs to tilt to the left and to the right. Accordingly, we also knit the men's mitten in the same way. Thus, as I have shown, we decrease until we have 7 stitches left on each side. Here are 7, and here are 7. After this we will meet in the third part to sew the mitten together.